Navigating family court is, let's be honest, one of the hardest things anyone can go through. But for neurodivergent parents, it can feel like you're playing a game where everyone else knows the rules but you. Well, in this explainer, we're handing you the playbook.
You know that feeling? Like you're under this giant microscope and every single thing you do, every word you say, every little gesture is being scored.
And the worst part is, there are right and wrong answers, but you're just guessing. You're trying to figure out what they want from you, what these unspoken expectations actually are.
Now, if the way your brain is wired is a little different from the court's unspoken ideal, that feeling gets amplified, like 100 times over. But, and this is a big but, the good news is there are real strategies. There's a playbook to navigate this.
So, let's get right into it. We're going to pull back the curtain on the court's hidden test and lay out the unspoken rules that can honestly make or break your case. Okay, look closely at this slide because this is the heart of the problem. Over on the left, you've got what the court secretly thinks an ideal parent looks and sounds like. Totally calm, super direct, organized. But on the right, that's what happens to a lot of us under the insane stress of court. Maybe you have a flat affect, or you talk really fast. Maybe you info dump because you desperately want them to have all the facts. The system sees calm and polished and thinks credible and safe. And that's exactly where the trouble starts.
So let's see how this disconnect actually plays out in the real world. This is where traits that are totally harmless get misinterpreted as something dangerous.
So, picture this. An investigator from the court shows up at your door, completely unannounced. Your brain kicks into high gear. Your instinct might be to give them every single piece of information, all the context, because you believe that if they just have all the facts, they'll understand. Your intention is so pure, you just want to prove you're a good parent. But then you see their notes, and this is what they wrote. The investigator didn't see someone trying to be clear, they saw someone being evasive, maybe even paranoid. Your attempt to be thorough gets labeled as disorganized and inconsistent. And there it is. That's the core issue. A simple difference in communication style gets written down as a flaw in your character.
And you have to understand how this just snowballs. It starts with that bad first impression. Then a judge has to make a quick decision on temporary orders. And guess who they favor? The parent who seems calmer. Next, the evaluators get involved and they might label your super detailed factual accounts as rigid or preoccupied. By the time you get to the final hearing, all these little misjudgments have been stitched together into this giant negative story about you that feels impossible to escape. Okay, I know that sounds incredibly daunting, but this is the moment we pivot. We're moving from the problem to the solution. You can actually take back control by building something we're going to call your reliability narrative. So what is a reliability narrative? It's not about your personality, it's about proof. It is a carefully organized binder, digital or physical, of hard evidence that speaks the court's language. It's designed to answer their number one question, loud and clear. Can you provide a stable, safe home for this child?
And you build this narrative around 5 key areas, 5 pillars that every single judge understands: routine, school, health, emotional stability, and your cooperation with the whole process. So instead of just telling them you're a good parent, you are systematically showing them, with proof, in these 5 categories.
Let's get really practical. What does this actually look like? Well, for daily routine, you don't just describe it, you show it. You print out the weekly schedule you hang on the fridge. You take pictures of the chore chart. You keep a simple log of on-time school drop-offs. And the gold standard? An email from the teacher saying your kid always shows up ready to learn. See? This is hard evidence. It bypasses any judgment about your communication style.
All right, so you've got the grand strategy. Now let's stock your toolkit with some practical things you can start doing right now.
Okay, this one right here, it's a total game changer, especially if you're dealing with a difficult co-parent. The idea is to take your raw, valid emotional thoughts and translate them into a language the court will respect.
Come on, we've all been here. This is the email you write in your head, or maybe you even type it out. It's full of raw emotion, accusations. It feels so true in the moment. But hitting send on this is like handing a weapon to the other side to use against you in court.
So before you send anything, you run that raw draft through a simple filter. It's called BIF. You make sure your final message is brief, informative, friendly, or at least, neutral, and firm. This little checklist forces you to take out the emotion and just focus on the solution.
And this is what comes out the other side. Just listen to the difference. It's short, it gives the necessary information, the tone is completely neutral, and it's firm with a clear proposal. This email is all about the child. It shows you're a problem solver, and it's 100% safe for a judge to read. It's brilliant.
Now, for any time you actually have to go to court, preparation is absolutely everything. Know your 3 main points before you walk in. Practice answering questions with just 1 sentence first, and only add more if they ask. Have some go-to phrases ready for when you feel overwhelmed. Get there early to calm your senses, and think about pre-framing your traits, not your diagnosis, but how you process information.
And here are some of those key phrases. Seriously, memorize these. Write them down on your hand if you have to. Having these ready gives you your power back when you're on the stand and feeling flustered. Asking for a breath or to have a question repeated doesn't show weakness. It shows self-awareness and that you're trying to be accurate. These are your tools.
So let's leave you with this thought. This playbook, it's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's not about masking. It's about learning a new language. Learning how to translate your competence, your passion, and your deep love for your child into a language that the legal system can finally understand. And that small shift in perspective, it can change everything.